I want to get you to weigh in on this because it's hugely important for your business as well. If they reopen, more drivers are out on the roads in China, and that's a big growth area for your business. Is that good? And is that good for 2023 for Mercedes, or are you more concerned about rates rising around the world causing recessions everywhere?
Good morning. Great to be with you this morning. You said it. China is the biggest car market in the world. In fact, if you look at the size of the Chinese market, it's actually bigger than if you put United States and EU together. So what happens in China matters for the auto industry and, of course, matters for Mercedes-Benz. We have now come through a period here in the fourth quarter where we have had some lockdowns, in some places actually extensive lockdowns, which shuts down dealers. And frankly speaking, if you're at home, you're not going to go to a dealer and buy a car. But at the same time, the central government has now clearly communicated that they want to ease up the situation. So what's going to happen? Are we going to see a stop and go, or are we going to see a gradual easing? It's difficult to say, but how that plays out will definitely define what the biggest market for us is going to do. But hiding beneath that has been generally a little bit weaker Chinese economy than we have been used to for the last years or decades. And I can now see that the central government is trying to put some stimulus into that and see if they can restart the economy together with opening up. So glass half full, 23 could get maybe better.
You know, the other thing about your company is that you're really working on a strategy to go back to a Mercedes-Benz of the past, where you make the luxury car that everybody wants, and you're focused on those higher margin products rather than trying to be everything to everyone, right? That coincides with pricing power that's tremendous and a lack of inventory around the world. So the supply side has really been tighter because of supply chains. Can you keep that pricing power if we go into a recession? When all the chips come flooding back onto the market and everybody can sell as many cars as they want, can you keep from going back to the rebates and the full lots that we used to see?
Mercedes-Benz has always been a combination between, on the one hand, innovation and technology, but on the other hand, luxury, something special. When you get a Mercedes, it's almost like you reward yourself. And even before we got into this situation with chip shortages artificially keeping supply down, we had already pivoted our strategy towards being, let's say, more thoughtful in go-to-market, look at building stronger contribution margins, watching our pricing powers, don't do fleet deals that don't make sense. So that was something that we had started before this chip crisis. Now, it goes without saying that if you have higher demand, as has been the case for the last couple of years, and you're held back by supply, that provides for very, very, very strong pricing. If we now get into a situation next year where the economy cools down and we get back into an equilibrium, so it's demand that controls the sales volume as opposed to the chip supply, yes, of course, we got to stay disciplined. There's no doubt about it. We have done a lot of work on our break-even point to make sure that we can lower the break-even point in our plant so we're not forced to keep the plant running at a certain number. So we'll see what happens, but in general, it is our target to stay disciplined.
You mentioned your plants, and we've been hearing this morning about winter has come in Germany. Obviously, the gas issue is a difficult one for factories. You can't run a paint shop, right, without gas. You can't run your line without gas. What will you do if it comes down to rationing?
Well, after an unusually warm fall, indeed, it's now getting colder. But the task force to deal with this really started on February 25th in Germany. We had a scenario already at Mercedes-Benz. What if we get cut off? And we have been working on optionality and resilience. So if we look at before the war started, if our gas usage was index 100, we can go now to an index 50, so a reduction of 50% while maintaining production for Mercedes-Benz. How do we do that? Yes, efficiency is part of the equation. Yes, the government has suggested that in all buildings temperatures are lowered. We do that as well. Wear a sweater. So efficiencies has been one part of the answer. Switching to electricity away from gas, but also in some cases switching from gas to oil, and oil is available. So there's been quite significant resilience package. in our company, but in Germany in general. So I think we are quite strong compared to where we were 9 or 10 months ago to go through this winter, but we're not out of the woods. So people have to work on efficiency, not just companies, private citizens as well.
We are in America, so let's talk about the Inflation Reduction Act just briefly. It's been criticised by European leaders. For you as the CEO of Mercedes, do you criticise it as well? Is this a good thing or a bad thing for Mercedes?
The underlying idea to support and accelerate decarbonization, I'm all for that. In fact, it is Mercedes' strategy to go all in on electric. We're going to put the company in a position by the end of this decade to have an all-electric lineup and be able to serve markets that are ready fully electric. So any policy that supports that, to start with, is a good thing. Now, there's another side of the coin here. We shouldn't do that while at the same time upend free trade. So one has to be mindful that over the last 30 years of globalization, why have we been able to grow economies as strongly as we have? It's been WTO-driven free trade. So if we take a step back on that and we create barriers again, that would be a bad thing. And in that case, I'm hopeful that between the EU and the United States, ways can be found to uphold free trade, but at the same time accelerate towards a carbon-free.
That's the hope. But you're not a policymaker, you're a CEO. Have you got to put more money to work here in America and invest more here and produce more here because of this?
Even before the Inflation Reduction Act, we had started that. We call it region for region strategy. So, of course, our three biggest economic or markets are the three big economic regions with Europe, United States, and China. So our vehicle production in general, but also the battery supply chain, and we have put $1 billion into our plant in Alabama and built a brand new battery factory that I opened myself earlier this year, in fact. So we had started that already. So
can we expect more?
That is happening. But what you can't do, especially if you're a premium luxury manufacturer, is you can't divide every single model into 3 pieces and make it in every region. It economically doesn't make sense. So we also rely on the ability to export, and we will see how that plays out.
You know, one thing that Americans have imported, Formula One.
Yes.
What have we got now? Miami,
finally.
Vegas, Austin. You must be happy about that. How cool is that Formula One has finally broken this country?
Formula One has grown tremendously over the last year. So I think Liberty, who owns Formula One management, has done a tremendous job, and we have helped them doing that by providing a very exciting show. United States
Does Mercedes do okay? Is Mercedes good at Formula One?
This year, are you trolling our guest here?
Well,
are we going to have a better car next year?
Well, we won one race, so there was redemption. But as in any sport, there's always next season.
You've got to give Lewis a better car. Come on, it was absurd this year.
That is our job. That is our job, and we're working on it.